Nothing generic in that. For me, that's about encouraging people to embrace their uniqueness.
Their greatness.
Yeah, that's what I was just going to say, and their own 3Gs that they have. You have to understand all that for yourself.
Mm-hmm. Genius being the third one.
Yeah. But really embrace it,
Mm-hmm.
and then operate from knowing.
Mm-hmm.
Which is part of the reason why we don't understand any of this.
Mm-hmm.
There's so much freedom. What's that?
And just from allowing, just allowing it, setting the intention. This is how I'm going to be. This is what I'm going to look for, and sit back and look for it.
Yeah.
Ian shared that is that he was working. His in focus was not taking things personal.
Hmm.
And it's like just and noticing when he did.
Wow.
It's like, yes. And he said, and then just allowing the surprises to show up. And he says that there was things that his mom has never done that she did.
Oh man. Yeah.
And he said one of the one things, and he said it a couple of times, one of the one things was that he could hear how proud she was of him every time she introduced him to people she knew as her son. And he said, I could see, he says, that is what I've always wanted. He said, but my inner child, my inner critic, my blaming myself, he says, was in the way of me ever seeing that, ever allowing that, ever receiving that. He says, that's the first time I've ever received.
Mm. Oh my.
Yeah. He says, I see people in their wounding. It's like, yeah, I understand. It's like we all have it. There's all something we want way down deep as this child. And there's a pattern that we do that keeps us from ever seeing it until we surrender. And it's different for everyone. That's the genius. That's the unique.
Yeah.
We think we got to keep playing the same pattern to get the same results that will change it, and it's not. We just don't realize that we're running the same pattern all the time.
Yeah, but everybody's doing it exactly that way.
Yes, uniquely different, but the same pattern.
Same pattern. Yeah.
We really don't know what we want until we start to dive into it. We don't know how to get it because all we know is what we've done. And then when we let that, everything that we've done, let it kind of go, we can see, we use our senses to observe things differently. And that's change, which is what his word was yesterday. My pattern yesterday, like on Mother's Day, man, towards like I get tired towards the end of the day, and it just feels like, man, it's like it's not a jealousy, but it's maybe a jealousy, right? It's like I get a chip, I get a little angry towards the end of it when all the attention is there, right? It's just a pattern way deep inside of me.
Yeah.
I see it all the time. It shows up like on the birthdays. It's like, especially around, it's like the attention goes to everyone. And at the end of the day, towards the end of it, it gnawed the whole day. It just kind of gnawed on me. And at the end, when I'm tired, when I'm towards the end of it, it's just it wants to chirp, right? It wants to chip away at something. It wants to take away. He wants to say, hey, look at me. Look at what I do. That's, I think, it's that, for me, it's that prover, that it's a version of proud from like Ian was speaking of. It's just that little boy in there that's just there to saying, hey, look at me too.
Yeah, just fighting to be seen.
Mm-hmm. Look at me too. Good morning, Sindrell.
Good morning, Craig.
Hey, is Cindy here?
She's hanging out. Yeah.
Good.
Yeah. You just called her up.
Yeah, we're talking inner child this morning. so I was just wondering.
Oh. Oh. My word today is impact.
Mm.
When I've been away, like I was like, okay, as I'm preparing to get out the house for the day, I'm like, I need some air. And it's like being away from this group. I mean, it's healthy to, be out doing all the things that you got to do and you say you want to do. And but it's like I felt like I've been swimming in water and I needed to come up for air. So coming here feels like air. I wasn't drowning or suffocating or anything like that, but I guess what is it? A dolphin is in the water and has to come out sometime too.
Yeah,
The
I heard that.
impact.
I heard that as in breath of fresh air.
Mhm, mhm,
Yeah,
mm,
yeah. Let's get some different air in these lungs.
mhm, mhm.
It's the impact of new air, the impact of focusing on the air, on the breath. Separating out there and in here.
Different quality of air.
Mhm.
The word impact, yeah. Impact. I'm gonna continue with Ian's from yesterday as change. Changing senses, changing perceptions, changing choices, and the impact that has, the impact that can be. That's what I just breathe through my system, through my body. Want to recharge, reset, refocus. Grounding.
I don't know why this came up, but there's another meaning to that word.
Which one? Impact?
Impact. Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah. Dentists use that word with respect to a tooth. It gets impacted. I'm curious as to why that came up.
I'm gonna rant a little bit.
Go for it.
Impact, contrast, shows what lasts, variety, expectations, can be changed. Having variety, experiencing air of the water, air of the air, variety. Contrast doesn't always make one thing good and another thing bad. Actually, they complement each other.
Wow.
What impact this is having right now is I was in a wrong environment. Well, was it really wrong or part of my journey? A marriage for a really long time. I was in a church institution for a very long time. I was in a educational system for a very long time. All of those things I bought into for a very long time without challenging the institution of the educational system, without going to and expressing my liveliness outside of the religious institution, and never looking left or right outside of the marriage of that institution. But when you're in something without varying degrees of contrast, where it could stand on its own for what it is as you evolve and as you grow, everything is, if it's not growing with you or growing you, then it's time for variety, to see other things, to know what can be, to not be afraid of the limits that you set within thee by choosing not to challenge or choosing to be limited in those institutions that have their own purpose. But sometimes we hang on to what's given instead of what the universe is as a giver. Where does the faith go? How does it lie? Did you stop exercising faith just standing by and by? By and by, by and by. That is not life being an element of an institution, being an element of a marriage, being an element of a mindset. When did we stop thinking? When did our faith just sit on the sidelines by and by, compliant, complacent, content, accepting, less of self, of life, of the wonderment, regardless of the strife? The strife is change. The strife is growth. Just as a seed is a seedling, it has to break through. And how many times have you seen it break through cement? Not being afraid to chase the sunlight that exposes the marriages, the institutions, the limits, the sky, the glass ceiling limits. When you grow beyond the glass ceiling limits, the sun is coming in and it's calling you out of your own stuff, because nobody really stopped you. It was just your stuff that you collected as definitions, that you collected as, okay, this works here and this is here, and now I got everything set. I got a picket fence, I got the house, I got the spouse. I also got the rules. I'm so suffocated. My spirit's like a mouse. So go to the call of the wind and the rain and the sun beyond the glass ceiling framed. because impact is happening and change is there too. You don't have to suffocate, live the adventure, your faith to become new. Yes, those institutions were there and they offered good stuff, but they're not life. They're not your life. They are an experience. When the experience is over and dull and doesn't grow you, it will break apart because you're breaking the glass ceiling. Your spirit will break that glass ceiling. Your spirit will come through that concrete glass ceiling where you're just not satisfied for the experiences of 10 and 15 and 20 years ago. Because we're not living the history now, we're living the future, and we must grow. The impact, the breaking through, the cracking up of the cement glass ceiling. I can breathe.
Oh my. Welcome, Cindy.
Thank you for inviting me.
Oh, my. You know, at the beginning of that, I heard you say the word challenge. Challenge is a key theme in my life, and my old MO has been about challenging by fighting. Yeah. And what's very interesting about what's coming clear, and especially just this really got clarified as you spoke here for me. It's about challenging the old patterns by creating new ones.
Does a snake challenge its own skin? It just grows into its new one.
Well, yeah. Well, that's another thing that hit me too, is that growth is an imperative. Like growth is a must. And the thing is, challenging by fighting is actually challenging growth. It's fighting growth.
We fight for our limitations.
Well, yeah. Well, exactly, because we're comfortable in them, right? We get comfortable in them until something comes along in our lives and shakes it up.
Our five senses are comfortable.
Yeah, it can be that way too. We get very comfortable in our 3D reality. to the point that we stop looking for something more. And we can cover that by going into complacency,
Mhm.
but we can also cover it by being very proactive.
Talk more about that.
Uh,
Busy is the word I get.
yeah, busy, or successful, or
Distracted.
yeah. Busy's a good one, because the thing is that's the one the majority of people on the planet are doing.
And that's what keeps us in that rat race.
Right,
And
right. And so you can, you rationalize that, well, at least I'm not complacent. You know what I mean?
Are you not just on a higher level?
Well, yeah. It's kind of, it's kind of the same thing. I've been doing a lot of contemplating the last couple months about instinct. And I found 3 levels of instinct. The first one is survive. There's a survive instinct that's built into us. I mean, that's our bodies are animal, and our survive instinct is the same as every other animal on this planet. And its survive instinct is driven by fear. And the second one is a thrive instinct. And thrive instinct is I can accomplish, I can prove, I can elevate myself above survive. But when you take a really close look at it, the thrive instinct is based on scarcity and lack. And what's interesting is that all of the earth economies are based on scarcity. In fact, you study economics, and that's economics is the study of scarce resources, right?
Mm-hmm.
But we have a lot of people preaching this thrive instinct as if it's abundance, and it's not, because it can be measured. and it's more about hoarding than it is about commonwealth. And so here's the third instinct that I realized that human beings have. So there's survive, there's thrive, and the third one is beehive. And it's actually the one that's about abundance. It's about, its driver is compassion, which is very interesting. And its it's driven by compassion and equal and unity and yes and in a beehive, every bee knows its place, knows its interrelation to all of the other bees in the hive, and create honey together. And what's interesting is that honey requires no preservatives, but it's one of the only things on the planet that will last forever. Like, it can survive very high heat, it can survive very cold. It doesn't break down. And it's like, it's sustainable in itself, which is really, really fascinating when you consider that. And also, the hive itself, like all of the bees doing what they do together, the combination of all of those frequencies of each bee creates a very healthy frequency. Like, I don't know if it's one of the solfeggios or whatever, but it's a kind of a low frequency that syncs where the hive vibrates at a harmonic to the earth. In fact, they say beekeepers are some of the longest living people on the earth because they're around that frequency as much as they are.
Wow, that's a nice what do you call it? Fun fact
Well, yeah.
to be
Yeah.
around that frequency. What I'm getting from the bees is that in the hive, they are living their true nature and purpose. They know
Yeah.
their true nature and purpose. And I'm like, well, and then you said they all know their place. I felt
Yep.
the trigger on that one. It's like, but why did I feel that trigger? So my resistance like came up like, but I lost my place when I came into this place. My points of references were like, nobody could tell me my place. It's the innerness that requires me to know my place, to stop looking outward to know my place. It's looking inward, but we first look outward to get reference points. And that's why, so then you said thrive. You went back, you said thrive. But it's scarcity. But for me, it feels like the thrive is the contrast of the awareness of nobody has the answers for who I am but me. And it's okay that I don't know my place, but to thrive is to step out of the hive of the matrix for us and just let my beingness be, let my buzzing buzz and be free. That's where I thrive, outside of the matrix beehive. We don't have that I'm not preconditioned to be, I am not created for my preconditioned to be conditioned based on the other bee next to me or around me. We're all such individuals But the other thing you said about the beehive is just like how I make my best contribution to the existence of all beingness by me coming through the journey to know myself and not looking to anyone else to be that. That's when I thrive. That's as a so-called human on earth. That's when I thrive. That's when I contribute the best and the most. That's when I'm living my vibration. And when I live my vibration, really, I live forever.
You know, the human body is designed to live forever.
Uh, if I knew that and forgot it. Thank you for reminding me.
Yeah, and that's, you know, that's the elephant in the room. It's like, okay,
You saying that is like a jawbreaker. I'm gonna suck on that for a long while.
yeah, yeah, yeah. So we kind of have these interpretations based on, they turn out to be misinterpretations, but they're based on how we believe things to be instead of how they actually are. And so truths like that tend to get obscured somewhere. There's people out there, as I've been researching these things, there's people out there who are making, this is happening energetically. They don't even know what they're doing, which is really, really funny. But they're making changes to their bodies, actually making like physiological changes to their bodies, just using intention and speaking to their cells and their DNA. What really kills me is it's kids that are doing this. You know, it's 20 somethings doing stuff. So I'm hearing those things in my own channeling too. When I was talking about replacing old patterns with new patterns, and that's what I'm hearing about that too. Is that these new patterns of existence are being downloaded, or are coming into awareness of people. It's just, you know, it's just absolutely fascinating to me to just watch this. You know, it's basically like create your own miracle kind of stuff.
Yeah. There's a show coming on that kind of speaks to that. It's called The Power.
Uh-huh.
And in a nutshell, the way they bring it forth is like young girls, like adolescent girls, find out that they have like electricity in their hands. And it's this power, and they are learning to use it. And and it rests in the right in the collarbone.
Yep.
And then they find out that there's others like it, and then they find out that they can transfer it to others, and then it's happening like across the world in different places, and women are uprising not to stay constrained in the social norms of being oppressed. And how movies do, they just show different aspects of how things are affecting people in different places. And one of them is finding out how to control it more.
Yep.
She's becoming more refined with it. So they show that inner journey.
Yep.
I haven't watched all of it, but you're saying how we're changing. We're an evolutionary species. And
yep.
Our greatest humanity to man is not having other people conform to what was, but for us to evolve and appreciate what is. I was on another, I got to take this call. I'm sorry. I'll pop back in.
Okay.
If I can even get to it.
Yeah. So I'm gonna keep talking while some girl steps out. But yeah, this whole thing about the ability we have to not manipulate, but the ability we have as human beings to intentionally address our DNA so that our DNA expresses itself the way we would like it to. When they mapped DNA about 5 years ago, I'm not sure exactly, but then they came out with places where you could get your DNA read, like 23andMe, Ancestry has a place where you get your DNA read, and that kind of stuff. But when they mapped the DNA, science knows about what about 5% of the DNA relates to. Like, obviously it relates to things like whether you have hair in your nose and how long your fingers are and what color your eyes are and those kinds of things. A lot of it relates to the physical, but we also understand that a lot of it relates to other things like unseen stuff and your makeup and a lot of things in ancestry and that kind of stuff. So it kind of has a memory of sorts. And a lot of other things. So what's really fascinating about this, though, is that people are intentionally changing physical characteristics in their bodies by doing what they do in order to make these genes express themselves differently. And it's just totally amazing what that means. Especially for the future. And, also, it's also uncovered things like the ability of a human body to create its own stem cells and replace pieces of it that have been cut off, that kind of stuff. We haven't actually seen that, but we have seen people regain their sight and those kinds of things. So part of the truth of this is that our DNA is an energetic code, or contains a number of energetic codes, of energy codes that sync up with each other in certain ways. And if you can actually change how that sync happens between parts, then you can address it directly and change relationships within your DNA. Like actually change the relationships within your DNA energetically. I'm going to be fascinated about this for a very long time, because it's like kind of hilarious in a way that these kind of things have been, human beings have been packing this stuff around for thousands of years. All of it has been hidden right in plain sight. Like it's right in front of our noses. It's right there. It's right there in our body. And that whole interface.
If we look to a machine as such a fascinating thing.
Right. Well, and we settle for technology instead of realizing how friggin' magnificent we are already.
Mhm.
That's a realization I had about the internet not too long ago. Is the internet is a human replacement for the unified field, and Google is kind of like intuition, the way to access the library. but they're counterfeits, and they're very wimpy compared to the truth. Developing internet technologies was a really awesome training ground for me, because what I'm starting to realize is that one of my roles here on the planet is to actually create the same, develop the same things in reality. So that includes things like interfacing with the field and developing intuition and implementing the new patterns that allow human beings to access all that. And very, very exciting where that's going for me. Axandro?
Yes, I just didn't want to interrupt the thoughts. Thank you.
Okay. Just trying to keep it going here.
Mhm.
keep expanding.
Yes. So you're talking about when I left about we could live forever. And
Yeah.
I think we do live forever. I believe you made that point, but we could live in these bodies like
Well, that's what I was saying, is that our bodies are actually designed to live forever because they fix themselves. Let's put it that way.
so. Ironically enough, that was a call from my doctor. I had all my blood work done.
Yeah.
Yeah, and they're saying, um, some of the readings are elevated, and
Yep.
I was like, perfect information. Thank you.
Hmm.
And it's working with the information that the body gives you. But if you ignore, like you were talking about intuition, if we don't exercise our knowingness, and then when we know, we ignore, then that's when we experience dysfunctionality. And it just says, well, you're not going to take care of me. I'm not going to be here. So I'm out.
Yeah. Yeah. If we insist on coming from understanding, then we discount our knowingness,
Mhm.
right? Okay. So when I understand, when I look at my blood work and I say, okay, I understand this and this and this and this, there's no room in that understanding for a miracle. In fact, inside that understanding, a miracle can't even exist.
Challenge.
Okay.
Back to contrast, I believe in the knowingness is the miracle. We can tap into other stuff beyond the reports. I mean, we can
Exactly.
use the reports, we can use the information, but what I know in lazy humanness, um, we go back to comfort zones that no longer serve us. We're something different now. So you got a car, you can't keep riding around on ball tires, you know? And in the interim, you do have to rotate. You do have to have new knowledge to come in and out and be okay with being familiar with some and not being familiar with other knowledge. And it's okay to be curious and inquisitive. I think we've been, a lot of people just perpetuate, don't you question me, boy. But don't you question authority. Is that system of you're not allowed to question people who don't have all the answers because they don't know that the best thing is that they don't have all the answers. Let's all be curious and move and evolve and grow. It's uncomfortable being uncomfortable until you get the thrill of what being uncomfortable means. And
Yeah.
it's being curious.
Yeah. Being uncomfortable turns out to be a very powerful place to be.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, you don't have to be there very long. That's the beauty of it.
Yeah.
Because you can learn that uncomfortable, as you spoke, Sindrell, is just the contrast that we've created.
Mhm.
Being motivated by discomfort is a lot more effective than being motivated by fear.
Mhm.
thrive in discomfort. Ooh, that's a
Yeah,
that's a charge.
all of what we've learned throughout our lifetimes is to avoid discomfort.
And once you go through it, ride through it, no, you know it doesn't have to control you, doesn't have to own you, doesn't have to control you anymore.
It's a part of the experience called living life.
That's right, part of the information.
The miracle
Something's-
is the newness.
That's right. What's next? Yes, and what's next?
Ooh. I keep getting the picture of the children going through the Red Sea, right? In trepidation and scared and nervous, but they were walking. They were walking through, and they were the miracle. The miracle that they walked. The
Yeah.
miracle that it opened up. They could have still not walked. Living through the expansion and the revelation as the miracle is happening,
Yeah.
and seeing it for the miracle that it is. It's like,
Yeah.
wow, this is like,
Yeah.
wow, this is like,
Only
this is what,
afterwards can they look back and say, oh, that was a miracle.
yeah.
Yeah. And a very different experience depending on what age you were when you experienced it. So if you were a child, you experienced that, you'd have a very different understanding of it than you would if you're an adult, than you would if you were like a very old person.
Mhm. 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 True. So
Yeah.
I've been around some of the older saints of the church, and they would tell of things that they experienced as miracles, right?
Yeah.
I mean, they lived that. So they, they had a certain authority on freedom. They had a certain authority on impossibilities being possible, and living that edge of possibility versus impossibility.
Yeah, there's a certain value in elderhood you can't get any other way.
And it's
My
like coming
sound went
back
out.
to
You
the
can't
child.
get what?
Craig
What?
said it's like,
Elderhood? What did
yeah,
you
you
say?
can't get it any other way.
Mhm.
And what it triggered for me was this, and it's coming back to the innocence of a child. So full circle.
So what I'm getting is living in yes instead of living in no.
Yeah, that's how I see it.
Yeah.
Because there's a curiosity, there's a wonder to it, where no is just an automatic shutdown. In all reality, we are afraid of the yes. why?
Yeah.
My point is just to be aware of the pattern, nothing more. Some
Yeah.
people have been conditioned to say yes their whole life to certain things in certain domains.
Yeah.
So as a child going through the Red Sea, you may have a better chance of cultivating a yes mentality. If you're the one, just the elders coming out of slavery, like you're saying no all the way through the walk.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like,
I can't believe this. I can't believe this is happening to me.
mhm. And the ones who didn't live the miracle just what? They're just the benefactors of the results of the miracle. They either have a spirit of no limit or maybe intertwined with lack of appreciation for the miracle and the power and authority that they actually live as.
You will find what you look for. So more than likely wouldn't even recognize that it was a miracle.
Yes.
Why I don't deserve this? Right? I'm not good enough. I'm not capable. All of those. I mean, we can reference back those same metaphors as any time they said that, right? They could no longer walk on water. As a reference to miracles, as a reference to creation, as a reference to our intentions, which is what I heard you speak about, Craig. It's all driven by our intention and whether we believe that intention or not. And so little of it is on the surface, whether we believe it or not.
Well, and as part of it's about reassociating with your innate greatness,
Yes.
you know, that's somehow been lost throughout your lifetime.
Mhm. Of course, we started to believe that we couldn't because those around us told us so.
Right. And who are you going to believe? Your baby self, or are you going to believe
Right.
your parents? Right.
That's right.
Pretty natural.
And you just watch a child, watch a baby play, and all you see is yes ands.
Mhm.
That's all I observe in them is yep, this, yes, this, and then look at a mom or watch a parent try and tell them no.
Yeah.
When no is the word, I haven't seen stats on it, but children hear no in their development is more than they hear yes. Like,
Yeah.
no, don't do that. No, get away from the stove. No, you can't go outside now.
Yeah.
No, you can't have this drink. No, 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 no.
100 times more. It's no wonder that it becomes our conditioned pattern. That was only the 1990s, I think, when that study happened. Was 500 no's to 5 yeses.
Yeah.
A day. A day.
Day. Yes. You think that's not conditioning?
Oh,
Holy
tell me
crap.
that, is that not structure?
Yeah.
No wonder we're conditioned to play safe.
And conformity.
But it wouldn't exist, and it doesn't exist until we start to shape the words around it.
Right.
And that's where our charges come from, is those shapings, that shaping. And so that's why charges are so important. And Cinderella, I just loved how you said, when you said those words, Craig, it triggered me.
Yeah.
Because Craig wasn't doing the triggering. He
Oh.
was just pronouncing, just saying the words. And so often people take that defense, they put their defense up. It's like, oh, you are doing it to me. And it is not, it's the other way.
That's how we've
Yeah,
learned to
well,
understand
I
the pattern.
welcome the triggers because I look at them. I'm like, ooh,
Yes.
where did
Yeah,
that
for sure. Oh, yeah.
that charge hit me somewhere? What's going on there?
Yeah.
What's
Wow.
that doing? Where did that? Oh, how was that? How was that? Impacting my thought, my perspective, my actions, my energy, my being. It's like, is there anything of that I like?
Yes.
Is there anything of that I want to advance? Ooh, X marks the spot of the trigger. Let's go there. That's my treasure zone.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Ooh, Mufasa.
Yeah.
That was not always your pattern, though.
That was what?
That was not always your default. That was not always how you approached those charges.
But they've developed like placard over time. Like,
Yeah.
There was
I gotta do
probably
a drop off. I'll be on silent.
all right.
Okay.
But I want to speak to that because I think most of the time we would take that as taking it personal, right? And in the
Yeah.
personal attack, it just is that until we become aware that, oh, that is just me creating that. That is just my biology putting up its defense. It's just my biology being triggered. That becomes a step in the awareness. I think that's a huge part of where the world could work today, is just noticing that. And I think we're coming to that. That's part of the awareness that we're coming to.
Oh, yeah.
Because that's where impact can happen. That's where change can happen. That's where new things can show up, only when we're ever curious about it. Just takes me back to Ian and his story. It's like, I stopped taking it personal and just allowed it to be there and listened. I was in the moment with it. I was in patience and allowed the change. And he said, I saw what I wanted to see, what I needed to hear. And it was magnificent. It was a
Yeah.
miracle. And it's like, yes, we can all do that.
Yeah.
It doesn't have to cost you a damn thing.
Take your
In
power
terms
back.
of money. Yeah.
Yeah.
Now it's probably the only thing that works. That's the ironic thing to it, right? It's the only thing that works. I mean, people are charging for everything that isn't working. Huh,
Yeah, yeah,
figure that one out.
that's a fascinating part of it too. You know, when I'm on social media and I just see how many ads are done, there's about 99% of them are total BS.
Yeah.
Actually, I'll change the language on that. About 99% of them are just far enough off the truth that they're very damaging,
Mm,
because they're dressed up like the truth, but they're not.
Yeah.
And some of them are dressed up that way so that people will buy them,
mhm.
because they won't buy the truth. Because people don't really want to know it.
Yeah. Fascinating. Fascinating.
Yeah. I mean, the
It's just
idea
our
that this is about me internally is not very palatable for people,
Mm-mm.
you know.
Yeah. Yet it is what they're looking for.
Yeah. Well, and that's what you mentioned about Ian too, is he realized that he was actually looking for something different, but he wouldn't allow himself to look there.
That's right. Not until he went through it, right? Not until he put his guard down to allow it to say, oh, that's not a personal attack on me. I wonder what that is. Boom, right? It opened up something new, and then opens up something new, and opens up something new, because we've been saying no to that opening the whole time.
Right.
And as he moved through it, he got to the point, he's like, oh, that was what I needed to hear and see and observe. I was the one that was blocking it.
Yeah.
I was the one that's been denying it. And even in a co-creation, I was the one that was denying it.
To myself.
Yes, it's crazy. That's what our patterns do.
So I experienced a yes and just now.
I love the yes ands.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah. So I'll share my little ditty. So my daughters,
Please.
both of my daughters are graduating. My youngest daughter, she had her graduate gown, her undergraduate gown, that was fine. The one that she needs now is her graduate gown. It came back super short. So in my mind as a mother, you're like, how can I help? How can I assist? And the sewing machine that my mother left at the house, it stopped working about a year ago. So I was like, how can I help her? Plus, like when I sew, it's like a curiosity thing, figuring it out. So it may or may not come out exactly like you feel like you think you want it to fit you. the miracle is gown. And when she came yesterday to show me how short for the old gown and match it to the new, sew it onto the new gown. But in my mind, I was like, how can I get this done? And like, she goes through these like anxiety type of rantings. And I was like, how can I display this in the calmest, like, we got this
Yeah.
kind of way? Yeah, you get it, right? Thank you.
Oh, yeah.
You know, because meanwhile, she's finishing up, you know, papers, and she's having to go to these extra meetings. They're requiring all of the speakers to participate and practice in these rehearsals and stuff, which is eating up her time. Plus her sister's graduating. She's got to get to her sister's graduation. And she has had to manage and juggle keeping her father's party away from me because he has issues that, you know, he's got issues. So I don't care. Kumbaya, you got a new wife. Thank you, wife, for, you know, distracting him so I have my freedom. So she's learned how to maneuver that, but still that element is there.
Yeah.
So here's the miracle of the Red Sea is that yesterday I was like, I could do it. I could ask my girlfriend to do it. But who knows what her schedule is? She's got her own life dramas going on. And then in my mind, this Taylor came to view. And I was like, wow, that's been like 20 years ago. Alex, be there, be there, be there. And I pulled up Alex, just as faithful as my imagination and recall of him. He's still here. His business didn't close down. He's standing right in my view right now, doing his alterations, and he can have it ready by Wednesday.
Oh my goodness.
And it's only going to cost $25 instead of $60. I'm like, thank you, God. And she'll just send the bill to her father, so he'll pay for it. I'm like, thank you, God.
I love it when synchronicity shows up.
Yeah. I'm like, I told Alex, I said, I could hug and kiss you right now. You may not remember me, but I'm sure glad I remember you. He was like, okay. Yeah, that was good. That was good. So I'll call my daughter and give her extra comfort and ease that it's all good. It's all good.
Wow.
So y'all want to hear more about the power?
Yeah.
Sure.
So it's on Netflix. So they discover that they have this electrical charge in them, and they're learning how to use it. And the change can be disruptive, right? So it's disrupting some societies, how they accept, and all of that other kind of stuff. So of course, there's many more parts to it that I haven't seen yet. But what I got from it is, like, what about intuition? What about vibration? What about mindset? What about self-empowerment of holding the vision of your belief? And it's like synergizing and conceptualizing that this is how to be, It's like discovering the oasis of your miracleness Jesus said, greater things shall ye do. So, you know, don't just show me that these things can be done, but you know, it's like my inner learning has to kick in to activate this, all this goodness. And mine comes out as love. It's just like love, right? And to live in that zone of energy is a high vibration of love to create.
Remember the beehive? What's the motivation behind the beehive?
Make that honey, honey.
Compassion.
Mm.
It's not fear or scarcity. It's compassion.
Mm. Wonder if there's a beehive around me to go hive around. Well, we
Thing is,
beehive.
you're building your own. It's internal.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
You know, that's your own reality, Cedrell.
So we're hiving here. We're hiving.
Yep.
And, you know, I have a group of women that we've decided to work together to hive for the purpose of real estate investing. I was hiving yesterday in love. Such a beautiful Mother's Day.
Awesome.
And they hived around me, and it was beautiful. Just, you know, it was beautiful. I'm thinking about the beehive, and it's attracting and choosing the things in your life that hive you, that raise, that keeps you in a vibration of non-limitation.
Yep.
It's like choosing to go to a concert. It's choosing to be inspired and be inspiring with in a tribe of people who are just energized around the same concepts and ideas. It's
well, and to
choosing.
stay interactive.
Yeah. And not judging others in the beehive, and they float and come and go and do and be as they be. So my son's girlfriend, she's also a mother, and her oldest son is in college, and she put him on the phone with me to say hi and happy Mother's Day and all of that. And she was telling me, you know, that he deals with anxiety. You know, he's like always in this heightened anxiety of needing everything to be like just so like set, like control. He needs to know that what he knows is set so that he can just like go through, like needing the whole roadmap for the trip kind of thing. And so when she FaceTimed him with me, and it wasn't because of that, it's just me being me. And I asked him, I said, so, you know, it's his first year at school. I said, so how are you loving being at school? Ooh, all that body language was like, I don't know. You know?
Oh, wow. Yeah.
I was like, I was like, just observe. I said, everything is all right and it's gonna be all right. Just observe. Observe yourself and other people and don't judge. And you don't have to be anything that you think anybody wants you to be. You just go in your heart and you dance in your heart and you be who you are. Because you being you helps other people be who they are. Remember, one light shines different from another. You're your own light. So, you know, love your light. Love your light. I said, do you hear me? He says, I hear you. I said, look, take my number down because I'm here. You're fine. You're good. You're beautiful. You're smart. You're strong. I've seen your fire. I've seen your light.
Yeah.
And I'm better because of your light. Do you know that you have impacted my life with your light? And I love you. You know, he was smiling. He was smiling. His mom was smiling.
There's your word again. Your word just showed up again. You said, you have impacted my life.
Mhm. Mhm.
Mm-hmm.
Mhm. He's the oldest of three. He sits, the three of them would sit like on the front row at church, and I was in the choir.
Yeah.
So I would see those three like sitting there, you know, legs dangling off the pew.
Yep. I remember
And it
those
was
days.
yeah, yeah.
You shot him a grin every once in a while, and he shot one back.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Mhm. 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 And to see them kids praise, unadulterated praise, I was like, yes. While the adults are a model for them, their spirit really such a renewal, reminder of our child spirit. And her youngest son was with us yesterday, and I haven't seen him in like 6 years. And this one will always have a smile on his face. Like some people have lips on their face. He didn't have lips. He had a smile, like just always. I'm like, and he came out the room to say hi to me. And again, there was impact because I was like, you know, they say when you smile, the world smiles with you. He came out the room with such that smile. And I was like, it just lights up like even if there's a light on, the light that's on lights up more. And I was just taking it in, you know, the miracle of it, the experience of it. And I told his mom, I said, he still has that smile. He still has it. She's like, yeah, it's like there. I'm like, yeah. And it's so good to see because a lot of times, he's 13 now. And his light isn't out, his light isn't out. And
Yeah, there's a
when
lot
you're,
more. There's a lot more kids these days that haven't had their light put out.
yeah, they refuse. They just live in the light, right?
Yeah. Yep.
I don't know if you remember last week when I found the door.
Oh yes. Hmm.
Yeah, so it's like
Yeah, that was
you
very
can,
impactful. So I
yeah,
wouldn't forget.
I'm still gleaning it.
Yep.
And I've carried a lot of light. I've been fortunate to carry a lot of light, but there's a fuse box that has been grown over with a garden of flowers and weeds and vines. And when that's, I've got some light, but I found that light. I found the fuse box. So I started painting a picture, it's a small picture of that door in the garden. And my daughter
That's what
got
I'm
a
doing
glimpse
right now.
of it. You're painting?
I'm drawing right now.
Mm. What are you drawing?
I'm drawing a mandala. I'm just putting down whatever shows up. So it's very interesting. I'm describing the energy of this conversation
Mm.
non-verbally,
Mm.
without words.
There's a little ditty of a song. It goes, I've come to the garden alone, while the dew is still on the road, and the melody that speaks to me, my heart is filled, 'cause he walks with me and he talks with me and he tells me I am his own, and the joys we share as we tarry there, none other has ever known.
Oh, that's a good memory, Cinderella.
You know that song?
Oh yeah. Third pew on the right. Still there, Cindy?
I'm right here. I'm
Yeah, I had
wondering
you in-
what is in your sketching to see it.
Well, it's very random. But I can show you here. Let me put my camera on here. You see that?
Pull back a,
Let
pull back
me
a
put it
little.
in the sun.
All I see is colors right now.
That's all it is.
Okay, I see yellow and like a magenta and
Yep.
I see the roundness of it and I see things coming out of the immediate shape. I see the beehive impression.
You see a beehive? Cool.
Yeah,
Awesome.
yeah. It's like activity, the way the light is contrasting and showing through even the color of the paper itself. It's like it's a lot going on, and it's obscure, but
Yep.
it's a lot going on.
Yep.
Busy energy.
Yep.
The
And it's all
infraction
that.
of light.
It's all the yellow side, the yellow red side of the spectrum.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. Intentionally so.
Yeah, I'm feeling it.
Yeah.
Thank you for sharing.
Yeah, you're welcome. Thank you for sharing. I'm still feeling the afterglow of that song, so that's cool.
Yeah. It's still playing in my head.
Yep, me too.
The first time I heard that song, my aunt was singing it, and I was surprised that she would even sing a solo. But she sang it so beautifully, and it just mesmerized my heart. Hey, Jesse.
I'm here.
No. Guardian of the space keepers. Mhm. Mhm. I think I'm gonna enjoy watching a documentary of the of beehives, how the life in beehives.
Yeah, yeah, there's something really fascinating about that.
Right. And how does one bee impact another bee? What
No.
could we learn in commerce from a beehive?
A lot of it is about interacting, interacting in truth.
Mhm. Relationship.
Yep. Yep. There's a synchronicity about the whole thing, about the whole hive. And a need for each one to participate.
Yeah. I guess you can't have any lazy bees.
No. No.
I'm here. I just have to go on mute for a few moments.
Yeah. Okay. You know, it's always so fascinating to me what comes to light in these sessions. So perfect all the time.
Hmm. Yeah.
Like I don't think I've seen perfection unfold in my life this like this ever. It's just really
Yeah. Oh, never really looked for it. I don't think either. You know,
well. That's
thought
yeah.
it was
That's the other thing.
possible.
But when we started this, we weren't looking for it either.
Yep.
You know, it's like you don't really know what you need until you start exploring. You know.
That's exactly creation. You know, you step into it and it's like, oh, there's the information, there's the feedback. That's what I learned from it. And now that I can learn, I can move it on and go on to the next one. We like to view it as separate, as independent, but it's all connected. Interrelated, yet we want to separate it every which way we can.
Yeah. Well, that's the brain's way
That's language.
for processing anything.
Yeah,
Is to divide and conquer. You know.
separate it out.
Yep.
It's how anything exists. The only way we can separate it, the only way we can know a difference. Fascinating and limiting at the same time.
My one big learning from this is about allowing my heart to inform everything else, and allowing my knowing to inform everything else.
Mhm.
Instead of the other way around.
That's right. Instead of the other way around. Key.
You know, because usually we're taught that our environment informs us, and that's how everything's meant. You know,
I'm allowing my knowing to have a voice in my existence.
yeah. It's that whole premise in education that says that you're starting with a blank slate.
You like to read? Just give
You know.
those out. I find those books to be inspiring. You're welcome.
Sometimes once and sometimes twice.
Yeah, it's one of the foundational premises of education is that you're starting with a blank slate. Every child is empty. And they need to be filled with so-called knowledge. What I'm proposing is the direct opposite of that. That it's already there. You have access to all of it.
Mhm.
You know, your learned knowledge doesn't necessarily help anything. In fact, it usually obscures your true knowing.
Yes, it does.
I'm getting a yes and.
Yep.
I'm getting everything we've ever learned by any means. It's like the trampoline. And when we hit the trampoline, we can use that as a springboard to all knowingness. But if we don't jump, if we don't add our what we do know, our true spirit and energy to jump and bounce. I mean, can you really just stand on the trampoline? You know, at some point you gotta go up and down a little bit, and then you feel that spring, and then you get that jump. So all structure it serves its purpose, but it's how we choose to soar with our own spirit. So I obviously need it, like everything. If it wasn't everything that I've had, it was something, or we would not have come forth out of a womb. I'm not mad at the trampoline, but I'm just so thankful I know how to bounce and jump and have joy and glee in the jumping.
That's a choice. Huh?
Now serving L067 at station number 1.
Well, guys, I've got to step off, get on with my day, and really appreciate you sharing it with me this morning.
Mhm.
I just want to share an
Thank you.
observation. You know, we spent the last hour and a half especially co-creating the world that we want to live in.
Mhm.
So it's kind of like, okay, I'm into that. So I'm just very, very grateful.
So am I. Thank you for
Yeah.
your impact.
12, 0, 6.
Gather,
Thank you for your impact.
gather, break through, and scatter,
And
and doing it together.
The beehive
Behind.
in action.
That's right. Well, you guys have a great day.
Okay, big love, everybody.
Thanks.
Thank you, everyone. Peace.
Thanks all. Bye.